trying to give you a close coverage about what's going on in the Canadian federal election 2019. Today we have McCrimmon. She is a member of parliament from the Liberal Party and a candidate for the Canada Carleton. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Amanda.
Would you please introduce yourself to the Canada News audience?
Hi, I'm McCrimmon. I was the Member of Parliament for Canada Carleton for the last 4 years. I'm running once again for re-election in the riding of Canada Carleton. I've lived in the riding since 2010, and I had a 31-year career in the military before that. I had done a lot of traveling. I had done a lot of traveling in the past in my military career, and I just know how lucky we are to live in a country like Canada. And when I decided to run for the first time, I just didn't like the path that the previous government had us on. And so I thought I didn't want to wake up someday and say, I should have done something, and that's why I stepped up and decided to do something.
Yeah, and like we see that this is the second time that you are running and riding this election again. What made you just decide to go and represent people of Canada Carleton again?
What I saw in the past in Canada Carleton is that the federal government wasn't really paying attention. We have so much talent. We have people who come to Canada Carleton from all over the world and bring their skills and their energy and their talent, and it was being wasted. Mm-hmm. And so we've made a lot of progress in 4 years, locally and nationally as well.
What are the main achievements that you have done and accomplished in the previous 4 years that you have done from 2015 until now?
Okay, so let's look locally first. So the government made very targeted investments in Canada's high-tech sector, and it's already working. So in 3 years, we saw an increase in businesses in Canada, up 13%. The number of jobs in Canada is up 18%, and the value of our exports is up 66%. Mm-hmm. So what I mentioned earlier, that we have all these people with these talents and skills, and the world wants to buy from us. They want a trusted partner to buy products from, and we are that trusted partner. So that we've done a lot good in the high-tech sector. I was lucky to get the money. I advocated to get the money to do the environmental assessment, mm-hmm. to take the LRT from Moody to Canada. So that environmental assessment is underway right now, so that'll put us in a good stead then in the next mandate to go out and lobby for the money.
Like you mentioned before in previous interviews with you that you are concerned about the infrastructure of Carleton, Canada, and here you say that you got the budget for that. Did you face any difficulties during these 4 past years to achieve these goals, or any other difficulties that really feel that it faced you?
I think we're very fortunate in that we have a Liberal government that really does believe in transit, and it believes in transit for a number of different reasons. Not only does it take a lot of vehicles off the road, mm-hmm. which is good for our environment, it's also good for our economy. As I mentioned, we're attracting people from all over the world to come and work, and we also want our young graduates from the University of Ottawa and Carleton University and the other colleges who specialize in technology to come out to Canada to work. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the reasons we really need the LRT to come out to Canada. And so luckily, and it's also a quality of life issue. Mm-hmm. If people can spend less time waiting in traffic jams, then their quality of life is going to improve. So it's a win on so many different levels that the Liberal Party has very much supported the increase in transit in this country.
If we just try to focus on and more about Canada Carleton and you as representing them, what are the main priority for you, priority issues that you are intended to do if you win the election?
Okay, so the big one, I think, in Canada proper would be the LRT. That's the number one issue I'm hearing at the door. Because we are growing, mm-hmm. there's some challenges with growth at any time, and so fixing the local transit and transportation issues will be at the top of the list. In the rural part of the riding, it's really more about internet or digital infrastructure, because we're not far away from Canada's high-tech hub, and yet the internet service is still quite poor.
We, also hear that there are a Twitter in specific, that's a tweet that you did in Twitter in your page. You said politics should be civic. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. Well, I don't recall ever an election in the past, and I've paid attention my entire lifetime, that was really so nasty. Really name-calling and threats and innuendo and suggestions, and I think it had never been like that in Canada before.
What do you mean it's never been? What you are talking about now?
The nastiness, the name-calling, the accusations, the lying, that had never been part of our electoral process in the past. But I think people are looking south of the border, and in Trump there are some people that say, oh, that's the good thing. And I know a lot of conservatives are kind of following that example, which
can we represent this following by the threats that some officials like Trudeau has, like they just directed a direct message or tweet?
No, it's true. I mean, I think there are a lot of people in politics who are under threat, and if you kind of the rhetoric started, a while ago, and nobody on the conservative side stepped up to challenge it. They just let it go, and so it's going to be up to all of us to get our country back to where we believe it should be.
And what is the direct message that you want to give to the Canadian people during the voting days now?
All right, so I think the big thing is that we've done a lot of good, a lot of good, and I don't know why we can't get that message out there. When you can lift almost 1 million people out of poverty, that's huge. When you work with Canadians and Canadians create 1 million new jobs, most of them part-time, that's good news. When you introduce things like a climate change plan, and the experts say that it's the best plan because it's both ambitious and it's achievable, that's what we want. So so many people are much better off. Families are better off. Taxes are down on the middle class, and opportunities to build a better life. We're building them right now.
Okay, Mrs. Karen, as your position as a member of Parliament for the Liberal Party, how can you serve the immigration and the Muslim community in specific from this seat?
Okay. No, that's an excellent question, and I really like the way that you use the word service, because that's what it's all about. Politics should be about serving other people. My mother said to me, Karen, you are blessed. Born in the best country in the world, to family that loves you and it will teach you the right things, and you've got a good head on your shoulders. So therefore it's your responsibility to help people that aren't as lucky as you are. And I really take that to heart, and it is about serving people. And we are so blessed in Canada, Carleton, because Bell Northern has been there for 60 years. So people from all over the world have been coming to Canada to work in our high-tech sector. So we have a really strong foundation, strong neighborhoods, strong networks, strong, even in the last couple of years, we've had 2 major floods and a tornado. Well, all of the different groups from Canada, Carleton, were out helping. The Canada Muslim Association was out, Jami Omar was out helping people, feeding people, filling sandbags. But that's what we do. All of us together, we look after each other, and they've set such a wonderful example of how you build a strong community.
We can see sometimes that there are some messages that can give negative ideas or negative representation for some communities, like we heard before, and we're still hearing about Islamic phobia and to pointing for immigration in general like a heavy burden on the Canadian shoulders. How can you, like answer or give an explanation about what's going on?
Well, I've studied a lot of history right around the world, and what I've seen is that when someone wants to gain power, one of the mechanisms they use to gain power is to create a group that we call it the other. So they're different than us. They're not the same. They can't, and so they will scapegoat those people and make them the target of people's anger, and that's so they can gain power.
Yeah.
And I've seen it before, and I saw the road that the previous government was going down, and we desperately do not want to go down that route. And we have to recognize it for what it is. And we have to fight it every step of the way, because that's not what made Canada such a wonderful country. It's being this open and welcoming and community-minded people, and the Muslim and the Arab community is a huge part of that. Very active, very busy, very thoughtful, and when their neighbors are in trouble, they're there, they step up. I remember delivering some meals that were donated from the Muslim community out to the workers after the tornado, and people were just so thoughtful, just so thankful that people were willing, people they didn't even know.
Yeah.
They didn't even know. And they lived a few miles away, but they stepped up, fed the team, filled the sandbags, like whatever. And that's what we need more of. That very strong connection to community and to each other, and that's what I want to see grow.
Okay, thank you so much for your time and cooperation with us. Thank you from me and from the audience of Arab Canada News. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Amira.
Thank you.
You.